No wonder President Trump has been sabotaging my channel for a while now and is trying to shut it down because I keep predicting and prophesying his next moves. And not just his, but also President Putin's next moves. Well, when it came to the full-on Sumy Ukraine invasion, ground invasion that was planned by President Putin, but was spoiled by me by giving intel here on my channel regarding that. So no wonder President Putin has been egging on President Trump to sabotage my channel and try and shut it down as well, because they're both watching me and they're both wanting to shut down my channel. And don't think that I don't know that my last video, which is not my last video now because I've just posted a couple other videos after that by now. But I know that one of my recent videos, were actually removed by YouTube because of President Trump asking them to. Because of President Trump. It was President Trump behind removing one of my recent videos. Oh well. Now President Trump is having my videos removed as well. You know, that's escalation. Because President Trump, President Putin, and Prime Minister Netanyahu are threatened by me and my presence and the fact that I can predict and prophesy their next moves. Oh well. God is watching. And the Arcturians are watching. Commander Ashtar of Ashtar Command or Ashtar Galactic Command is watching. President Trump, President Putin, and Prime Minister Netanyahu, the three musketeers. And we are exposing their next moves. And that's exactly why President Putin, President Trump, and Prime Minister Netanyahu are trying to shut down my channel. And of course, President Putin is egging President Trump on to try and shut down my channel. And of course, Prime Minister Netanyahu does not want me around either. And of course, President Trump doesn't want me around either. Oh well. But God is still watching President Trump, President Putin, and Prime Minister Netanyahu, and everyone else. So what are you going to do about that? What are you going to do about God watching you? What are you going to do about the Arcturians watching you? What are you going to do about the galactics, the galaxy watching you here on planet Earth, making a fool of yourselves and killing all the innocent people that you're killing around the world in different countries and causing all this chaos and destruction? These men are not listening because they think they are God. they are playing God because they think they are invincible, because they are presidents and prime ministers, because they have some power here on planet Earth. They're not listening to God. So what will happen to them? God is extending their rope for now, but for how much longer? And I said I will relay God's message to President Trump in my next video. So here it is, though it is pretty much the same message as before. And God is repeating the same message as before. That's why I was like, God, what's the point? You're repeating the same message. We're repeating the same message, and he's not listening. So what's the point in repeating the same message over and over again? I don't know. God's saying, just do it. Repeat the same message. So I'm going to repeat the same message from God to President Trump and President Putin and Prime Minister Netanyahu as well. Now I'm getting. They all need to hear the same message. Apparently. So, which means this is a message coming from God to not just to President Trump, or not just for President Trump, but also for President Putin and Prime Minister Netanyahu as well. Now, God is saying to President Trump, President Putin, and Prime Minister Netanyahu, confess your sins in front of the whole world. And this message came through to me from God and the Arcturians before this was on the news, that President Trump has killed innocent people in Venezuela. That there are civilian casualties in Venezuela because of President Trump's strikes and bombings. And because President Trump is under God's judgment, and I've been telling President Trump that for a while too here on my channel, because he's been watching me, and he's watching me. And or he has other people watching me and reporting back to him. But I'm getting he's watching me as well, whenever he can. Or for the most part. And, you know, because President Trump keeps killing innocent people, and with these recent airstrikes and explosions and bombings, whatever's, you know, going on in Venezuela, the recent attacks in Venezuela by President Trump, I was getting this message from God and the Arcturians and Commander Ashtar before this was on the news. But I'm sure by now it's, you know, it is being reported that there are civilian casualties in Venezuela. And God is saying, and of course, now I'm getting that even with the boat strikes that President Trump did. And I was, coming up with the same message even then here on my channel, that President Trump has killed innocent fishermen with those boat strikes as well. So God is saying that because President Trump is killing innocent people, innocent civilians, President Trump will pay for it. Because President Trump has been and is still under God's judgment. So President Trump will pay for it. I'm even getting the message that God's swift judgment will come upon him, will come upon President Trump for doing this, for killing innocent people for killing innocent civilians and war mongering. God is also saying, and also the Arcturians are also saying, and I'm getting Commander Ashtar, I'm getting Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, I'm getting the archangels here as well, that this is a distraction tactic. This is just another distraction tactic. But President Trump is escalating now. But this is to distract from the Epstein files and the truth coming out when it comes to the Epstein files. And I was also getting the message from God, the Arcturians, Commander Ashtar, the archangels, Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, and other archangels, both male and female archangels, that President Trump is not innocent and that he should just come clean. We have been advising President Trump to just come out with the truth, even when it comes to the Epstein files, with everything. But even when it comes to the Epstein files. But, this is what President Trump is still doing, and he's just escalating the situation. And now he's escalated the situation right into these attacks on Venezuela. And I'm also hearing about him capturing Venezuelan president and his wife even. So what the hell is he doing there with that? Well, we shall see, and I'm sure it will be on world news as well. It already is. But God is telling me that, and God is telling me to tell President Trump that Epstein files truth will be revealed and will come to light. And that will be part of God's judgment on President Trump. That will be part of God's judgment for President Trump. So, it is an invasion when it comes to Venezuela, but it is also a distraction tactic to, cover up the truth or to distract the world from the truth coming out when it comes to the Epstein files, which is obviously not good for President Trump. It's not looking good for President Trump right now when it comes to the truth coming out about the Epstein files. So, an invasion and a distraction tactic simultaneously, it's like killing two birds with one stone, isn't it? But of course, there's the oil angle there too. So, what's the expression for that? Is there an expression for that out there? President Trump wants Venezuelan oil too. Anyway, I've relayed God's message to President Trump for now, and of course to President Putin and Prime Minister Netanyahu as well. The same message goes to President Putin and Prime Minister Netanyahu as well, from God. Confess your sins. Confess. Make a confession. Make a good old confession. All three of you, because God is watching all of you. Because God is watching you. I'm going to leave this message here. The rest of you, take care, stay safe, over and out.